This is problem 1158. It's asking us to find the volume and the surface area of a triangular prism. So let's take a look at the shape that we have here. It's a triangular prism, which means that the bases are triangles. So here is one of our bases, and what you can see in this diagram is that it is a right triangle. So I'm just going to redraw this right triangle because we don't have all of the information for it, but we're going to need all of the information for it in order to be able to find the volume and the surface area. So what we have right now, here's our right angle. That means this 25 is the hypotenuse. And then since in a prism the bases are congruent to each other, if this length is 7 here, that means that this length is also 7. So that means that we don't know the value of this other leg, so we're going to find that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of that other leg. So since Pythagorean theorem is leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared, I'm going to write this equation. I'm going to go to my calculator now to figure out what some of these values are. So 7 squared, that is 49. So now I have x squared plus 49, and 25 squared is 625. So now I know that x squared plus 49 equals 625. So to get x by itself, I'm going to subtract 49 from both sides, and that will leave me with x squared equals 576. Now, to get what x is, I'm going to square root both sides, and when I do the square root, I get 24. This happens to be one of our Pythagorean triples, where all 3 side lengths are whole numbers. So I now know that this is 24. So I'm going to go ahead and label those in my diagram here. So this is 24, this is 25, this is 7, and this is 24. Okay, let's start with finding the volume. To find the volume, we always do the area of the base of the prism times the height of the prism. Alright, so this right here is my height, so I'm going to be using 12 for that value. And then the area of the base, I'm going to have to find the area of this triangle that we have here. So, looking at my triangle again, it's a right triangle, which means that the 2 legs can be used as the base and the height of the triangle. So, area of a triangle is going to be 1/2 times the base times the height. So I'm going to use 7 for the base of my triangle and 24 for the height of my triangle. When I multiply that out, I get 24 times 7 divided by 2, which gives me that the area of my triangle is 84. So that's what I'm going to put in here. So the volume of my prism is going to be 84 times 12. Put that into my calculator, and I get that the volume is 1008, and then my units were inches, so it's going to be inches cubed, because our volume is always cubed. Okay, let's talk about the surface area. The surface area is basically the area of every single face added together. So we've got our 2 bases, so we're going to do 2 times the area of the base. And then if I look at this diagram, I have 3 lateral faces. So one of them is this front, where it's 25 times 12. Another one is this rectangle here, where it's 24 times 12. And the third one is this rectangle here, where it is 7 times 12. So I'm going to be adding all 3 of those together to get the other part of my surface area. Alright, so let's see if we can think about this for a second. Every single one of those is 12. If I were to cut the bases off of my prism and flatten out those lateral surface areas, I would have this 7 by 12 rectangle. and then it would continue on to my 25 by 12 rectangle, and then that would continue on to my 24 by 12 rectangle. If I take a look at these all together, they make one big rectangle, and the length of that rectangle is 12, and the width of that rectangle is 7 plus 25 plus 24. That is the perimeter of my base. So what that means is when I'm finding the surface area of a prism, this lateral face part of it is going to equal the perimeter times the height of the prism. It's very similar to when we did cylinders. The lateral face was the circumference of the base times the height. In this case, we're going to be using the perimeter of our base, which for this, it's a triangle, 7 plus 25 plus 24. We already know the area of the base from up here. That was 84, and there's two of them. There's the top and the bottom. So my surface area is going to be 2 times 84 plus these lateral faces, if I add them all together, or if I think of it as one big rectangle where the length is the perimeter and the width is the height, I would have 7 plus 25 plus 24, which is 56. So this would be 56 times 12. Okay, so now I'm going to put this in my calculator. 2 times 84 is 168. 56 times 12 is 672. And then I can add them together, and I get that the surface area equals 840, and surface area is a measurement of area, so the units are squared. So there is my surface area, and here was my volume.